Mr. Speaker, I rise today in opposition to the rule and the underlying bills, H.R. 3523, the Cyber Intelligence Sharing and Protection Act, or CISPA, and H.R. 4628, the Interest Rate Reduction Act. Both bills are being brought to the House under a hyper-partisan closed process that limits debate and discussion, that can improve the legislation and allow the House to work its will. Many of the meaningful amendments that would have protected privacy under CISPA were not allowed under this rule, and under the Interest Rate Reduction Act, no amendments were allowed. I want to address both of the bills that are contained in this underlying rule. First, the Interest Rate Reduction Act. This is a bill of rather mysterious origin that appeared in the Rules Committee yesterday, mere hours after having been introduced by its lead sponsor, Ms. Biggert of Illinois. No regular order was followed for this bill. This bill received no hearings and no markups by the Committee of Jurisdiction. And within hours of it being introduced, it was brought immediately to the Rules Committee with direction to go to the floor of the House of Representatives without a single member of either party having any opportunity to amend the bill, and with only 1 hour of debate. What is new about this cliff with regard to student loan rates? This was a well-known fact with regard to the expiration date, that in fact the Stafford student loan interest rate would increase from 3.4 to 6.8%. I've joined my colleague, Mr. Courtney, who will later address these issues, as a sponsor of his bill that would address extending the lower student loan rate. And yet there has been no interest from the committee chair or Republicans with regard to this issue until yesterday afternoon, when a new bill without the benefit of a markup was presented in committee into the Rules Committee, going completely around the Committee of Jurisdiction. Look, there's a legitimate issue here. Middle-class families are having a tougher and tougher time affording college for their kids, at the same time that a college education is more necessary than ever for young people to have the skills they need to compete in the global economy. It's a serious issue that deserves serious treatment. There's a lot of cost drivers with regard to education. Some have commented about a higher education bubble that has led to higher and higher tuition rates. Certainly how the state and federal share of higher education funding is targeted and the manner in which it's spent absolutely affect tuition rates and whether there's a bubble. But instead of a thoughtful approach, an approach that looked at drivers of costs, an approach that looked at outcomes from higher education, an approach that looked at employment levels pre and post higher education, a bill was immediately created and brought to the floor within a day. Again, there's technically a 3-day rule that the majority has said that they would follow. They would give members of this body of both sides 3 days to consider legislation. But they calculate 3 days in a very funny way. There was, as far as I know, no members of this body who saw this particular student loan bill before yesterday afternoon. Here we are today on the rule with final passage vote without any opportunity to amend expected to occur midday tomorrow. By most calculations, it sounds like well less than 3 days. They had maybe 6 hours, 7 hours yesterday, 24 today, and maybe 10 tomorrow. It seems like, in fact, less than 48 hours, less than 2 days. But nevertheless, it's yet another example of only governing out of a sense of crisis. And with regard to this issue, one with which we do have time, fundamentally, to follow regular order. And even more importantly, we did have time. This is not an issue that appeared from nowhere. Why has the chair of the Committee of Jurisdiction not been working on this issue for weeks or months? And while many of us on our side, including myself, appreciate the sudden interest in helping middle-class families afford college, it would be good to do so in a more thoughtful manner that truly addresses the cost drivers.